Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Gerald Owens. This special bonus episode is a one-on-one conversation with a man who is so famous in North Carolina he needs no introduction. I recently had the chance to sit down with former UNC men's basketball coach Roy Williams and talk about his life in retirement, watching the Tar Heels during a challenging season, and his thoughts about sports hot topics like NIL and the transfer portal. But first, I wanted to know about that WRAL commercial that ran during the Super Bowl and the cameo appearance Williams made as the Tar Heel mascot. Was it difficult to convince you to do this, to put on Ramsey's head and go through this?
No, it sounded really silly and sort of crazy, and I said, that's right down my alley. I'm retired now. I don't care. I'm 72 years old. When you get to be 72, you don't really care what you say or what people think, and when you get to 72 and you're completely retired, you really don't care. And so I thought it'd be something my grandchildren could laugh at me, and that was really the bottom line. I thought that when they see this, if it works and if it ever comes out, I said the grandchildren, they'll laugh themselves silly.
Would you have done this 5 years ago?
It would have been harder then, because it's just 5 years ago, I was afraid to give away 2 hours because I thought somebody else was going to be working during that time. But I still tried to do a lot of things, but not like I am now. But as I say, when you get older, you don't care. It's really, grass is greener where I'm standing, regardless of what other people think.
The first year of retirement, did Wanda have to say, okay, pump the brakes, big guy. You're not coaching anymore?
No. I sort of keep it even more to myself now. I tried not to bring it home even when I was working. I'd say, well, what'd you think? And she'd give me her 3 or 4 minutes, and that's about all we would talk about it. But I would, most of the time I'd go to bed, and when she went to sleep, I'd get up and stay up all night after a bad loss, or any loss, basically. But so for me, that is the good part. It's not my life. It's not the first thing I think of in the morning. It's not the last thing I think of at night. It's not involved in any decision I make, whereas for 48 years, coaching was involved in every decision I made. And so that part's good. And it's one of the best things that's really silly is that I sit right beside the tunnel. So when the players go out after the game, I go right behind them, go up the steps, in the parking lot, get my car, and I'm almost home before Hubert gets to his press conference. And I love that part.
Without having to talk to anybody.
Yeah, and it's neat because the fans over the last year and a half, last year, and then so far this season, they understand that before the game, I'll take pictures, sign autographs. But when I come out that back door, I'm getting in the car and I'm heading to the house. And, so that part's, that's the most enjoyable thing is how quickly I can get out of the building.
Last year was magical.
Yeah.
They finished really well. This year's been a struggle by UNC standards. Is it difficult for you to watch that?
Well, it was probably a little more difficult last year, and because Hubert was not a known quantity to people except me, and people don't realize that the last player I helped recruit as Coach Smith's assistant was Hubert Davis. And I feel like that when you cut Roy Williams, I'm going to bleed Carolina blue more than anybody. And Hubert's right there with me. He's the nicest person I've ever known in my life, who is also fiercely competitive. And so last year, last year in the middle of the season, we're about where we were right now. And I told a bunch of my buddies, you wait and see at the end of the year, we're going to be right there. We'll make a run. And I believed it in my heart and my soul. And I believe it even stronger this year. But, it's college basketball. It's a long season. There are other good teams. And regardless of what North Carolina fans think, it's not our divine right to win every game. I felt that a little bit more as a coach than I do now because I'm still a fan. But we're going to be fine, and we've got the parts. Hubert's tough enough to they'll change and start going in the direction he wants them to go a little bit more, a little bit more. And I just think he's the perfect coach, the perfect human being to be the coach at North Carolina. So when the game is going on, I'm interested in the game, but as soon as the game's over with, I just want him to be feeling good. That's all I care about.
Do you guys talk often? Does he reach out for advice?
Not much, and I try to make sure that I don't reach out because I want it to be, if he wants something, I want him to, I sneak in the door in the office. They gave me a little, what used to be a little storage room. They've given me a nice little office over there, and I'll sneak in there at times and sneak out. But it's his team, and it's, as I said, I miss it tremendously. If I could snap my fingers and go back to 52, I would have done it for another 20 years. I sort of wanted to win a big game and go in the locker room and act silly and get right to the door of the press conference. And before I went in, just drop over dead. Now, win a big game and not have to talk to the media. So
pretty final.
Yeah, that's the way I wanted it to be. I really didn't have in my mind that I ever wanted to retire. And so, but it's been good. It really has. But right now, we've got the right man, and he's absolutely the best.
So fans should say, give him time.
Oh, well, the one fan that I know personally, I said, shut up, because you don't know enough to even make those kind of statements, you know. But the fans, just understand, we're going to be okay, and Hubert Davis is fantastic.
Have you learned anything about yourself that you had forgotten as being so involved in basketball for 48 years as a coach?
I think if there is anything, it's feel how lucky I am, because I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And Luke Bryan's a country singer, and he has a song that I'll paraphrase a little bit. Said, find something you love to do and call it work. And that's what I did for 48 years. And so I guess the big thing is hit me is how lucky I was to do that. And it's, like I say, I miss it tremendously, but it was the right decision. But that's, I didn't know what to feel. So I didn't have any game plan or anything. I just knew it was the right time. But I was fortunate. I never went to work a single day in my life. I really didn't. I never felt like I was going to work. I was doing what I wanted to do, and I think I'm highly blessed.
Coaches don't like answering hypothetical questions. You're not coaching anymore, so I'm going to try one. Okay. You're in a boat. You have 2 oars. You're taking on water in choppy seas. NIL and transfer portal are on board. You got to get rid of one of them or the boat sinks.
I jump in the water and swim. NIL, I'm sort of on the fence, because, you know, we did need to make it better for kids. I still go back. Peyton Manning's a friend, and his last year at Tennessee, they sold something. I'll miss the numbers now. It's a long time ago. They sold something like 50,000 jerseys with Manning name on the back at $56 a clip, and he didn't get a cent. That's not right. Okay, come on. You know, we can make it better, and I think with the cost of attendance and changes we've made in the last 10 years, it has gotten better. But we're going over a little more now. You know, it's every kid in junior and high school has got an agent, and, you know, you have to talk about how much money you can make, and that, I'm old school, and that's not what I think college athletics should be. But I still think we can make it better, and we have made it better, but I think we could make it even more. But it's gotten a little Wild West attitude of anything's go out there now. So the transfer portal, I don't mind a kid transferring. I do believe that you make a commitment, you ought to be tough enough to handle a little adversity, though, instead of coach yelling at you on Saturday at game day in the middle of a football game and you transfer on Monday. I think that's sort of stupid. So I don't mind a kid transferring, but I do think they should have to sit out a year. You know, and they said, well, coaches don't have to get sit out. Well, coaches get fired. Right. I mean, I've never fired a player. I thought about it, you know, sometimes, but so there are things that I wouldn't enjoy as much, but it had nothing to do with me making a decision. But I think the purity of college athletics is something that I loved, and for me, my whole life was trying to take a group like you guys, everybody to make sacrifices for a common goal for the team, and that's something that I really loved. And so that was those 2 issues. Both I'm in the boat. Which one do I throw out? I'd leave both of them in. I'd go ahead and swim. I'm not a good swimmer. I'd go my own way.
In your opinion, have they been to the detriment of college basketball?
Not yet, in my eyes. But again, I'm not involved now. I'm not sitting in that living room and somebody says, "Well, so and so is offering us this kind of thing," and because that would really bother me a great deal. But you know, when North Carolina and Duke play, when North Carolina and North Carolina State play, it's still the Tar Heels against the Wolfpack, and it's still the Tar Heels against the Blue Devils, and it's who's going to play the best that night. And I'm getting cold chills even talking about that, because that's, to me, what college athletics is about.
We'll be right back after the break with more from coaching legend Roy Williams. Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm talking with Roy Williams. Have you coached your last game at any level?
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know. I sat on the bench with my son watching my grandson play the other night. I was keeping stat thing for him. But, you know, I've had 1 or 2 people reach out to see if I'm done, and I told both of them I am. You know, where I'm standing is really nice, and I've done something this year that I'd never done in my life. I played golf in December. I played golf in January. And February's coming, and I've never played a round of golf in February in my life. And so it's those parts I really like. But I'm done. You know, I'm done. There's not enough money to make me go back.
Have you cut your handicap in half yet?
No, with the knee surgeries, I'm using that as an excuse. But I'm going to be better this summer. I play in a couple of tournaments, and I love the competition, and I do gamble a little bit, and I enjoy talking trash, and I enjoy taking the trash. But the golf, when I was coaching, the golf course was the only place that I could go and lose myself. When I had a putt on the 12th green, I wasn't thinking about who I needed to call that night. And in every other thing I did, with the exception of hugging and playing with the grandchildren, everything else I did, I could be in a meeting with anybody, and I'm still thinking about what am I need to do for our basketball team. I could be eating the greatest meal ever, and I'm thinking, what time is it? I've got to make a call. But the golf course was the one place that I could get away, so I'm still enjoying that.
What do the grandkids think about your retirement?
You know, they thought it was pretty neat. The two older ones now 13 and 11. But they really enjoyed going to the games and making some of the trips. And the two youngest one, 5 and 3, they didn't have any idea. And, you know, I was concerned about Scott and Kimberly, our two children, and Scott just wanted to know if he could still get Jordan shoes. And Kimberly was a little more emotional than Scott was, but she's a dance instructor. It's all she ever wanted to do, and she owns her own dance studio. So in my eyes, she's closer to coaching, and Scott's in the financial world. It's a business, and but I was very emotional at the time when I was telling both of them.
Coach, you know, every team's different, even if you have most of the same players, because it's a different year, things are different, people get injured. Is there a time or a period in your coaching career, a 5-year period, where you said, you know what, that's the best of my career? That's my most favorite time as a coach?
Oh, gosh, I loved practice, you know, and I loved getting after them, and I loved seeing them improve. I loved the relationships. And in today's kids, you know, they've always got the earplugs in and everything, and that didn't bother me. I'd walk up behind it. The kids say, if you turn around and say hello, I'll give you $100. And they'd just keep walking. I'd say, what about $1,000? And they'd keep walking, and then I'd point at another teammate, and he'd pull it out, and I'd say, how about $2,000? And the other guys were laughing. So I'd mess with them all the time. But no, it was the greatest thrill for me every single day, because I loved it. And but I'm enjoying what I'm doing now. And it was time. I was 70 years old, going to be 71 in 3 or 4 months after I retired. So, so it was the right time. But I had a friend that gave me some golf balls, and pulled them out and I looked at the numbers, and the other guy brought them to me, and one of them had the number 9 on it, and another one had 2 zeros, and another one had 3. And he said, do you have any idea what that stands for? And I said, 9,003? We won 903 games, not 9,003. I would have loved that. And he said, that's what I thought you would say, but the fact of the matter is it was 9 Final Fours, 3 national championships, and 0 regrets. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
You and Mike Krzyzewski, you guys fierce rivals, you know, for so many years. Are you guys really friends, or is that for the camera?
Well, no, it's an easy question to answer. It's just I have to think, because when you say friends, that means somebody you socialize with. And, you know, for 100 years, it seemed like he had his family and he had his team, and that's the way he went. And I had my family and I had my team, and that's the way, you know, we didn't go to dinner. He doesn't play golf. We didn't go on vacations. There's nobody in coaching that I competed with in the ACC, anywhere other than Coach Smith. There's nobody that I respect more than I respect Michael. And I mean that sincerely. When I was coaching at Kansas, we were on a lot of NABC, National Association of Basketball Coaches, committees, and invariably we almost always had the same outlook, what was best for college basketball. And so we thought the game similarly. We thought it was good to have kids to play extremely hard and to play for the name on the front of the jersey, not just the name on the back. So nobody's got more respect than Roy Williams has for Mike Krzyzewski. But when you say friends, that's somebody you go play golf with. And, we didn't do that because I'm totally devoted to basketball in my family, and so was he. And then in the off season, we're still recruiting. We see each other. We'd always say hello. So I would say friends, but not the kind that you stay with a lot. But if I were to see Michael walk in the door right now, I would smile, and that's pretty good. And that's pretty good.
And last one, do you have a dream foursome? You may have already played it.
Yeah.
If anybody,
Yeah, that's an easy question because it's not Tiger Woods and Beyonce or anything like that. Which wouldn't be bad playing golf with a couple of people like that. But it's very easy. It's three of my buddies because there's nothing better than being out there. And I've been very fortunate. I've played. Jack Nicklaus one time said, "Coach, come here and watch my golf swing and tell me what you think." And I'm thinking, what is the matter with you, boy? And I've been fortunate enough. I played 27 holes with President Obama.
Wow.
And I loved it. It's one of the greatest days I've ever had on a golf course. But if I'm going to go out and play golf, I'd rather be with my buddies than anything because when I play golf now, one of the guys I played with, I played Little League Baseball against.
Wow.
And so for me, playing with my buddies is the best thing. But like I say, I've been very fortunate to play and be in tournaments where other people are around. And President Obama was a thrill of my life to be able to play golf with him too.
And does he get extra strokes? Does Secret Service kick the ball out and back in the fairway?
He was my partner.
Oh, good.
So I told the Secret Service people what to kick, which ball to kick out.
Thanks for listening to the WRAL Daily Download. If you'd like to hear my co-anchor Deborah Morgan's interview with Coach K, you can also find it in the WRAL Daily Download podcast. And a reminder, a great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email that's waiting in your inbox every morning with local news, events, and headlines to get you ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.